I started running about 3 years ago, and pretty shortly after I started running, I figured out that I was going to need some better shoes. So I was up in St. Louis one weekend, and I went to one of these discount shoe stores, and I found this great pair of running shoes. They're about half the price, but they're a really nice brand, and I tried them on. They were really comfortable. They fit really well. I brought them home. First time I went out running, when I got done, my feet totally hurt, and I thought, oh, these shoes are going to take a lot of breaking in. The next day I went out and ran, and when I got done, again, my feet really hurt. I was like, I was kind of wondering what was going on with the shoes. The third day, I went out, I started to run, and pretty shortly after my run began, I couldn't run. My foot hurt so bad. So I came back home, and I decided to look up these shoes on the internet, find out what's going on with them. And I looked up on their website, and it turned out that they were a motion control shoe, something to control for overpronation, which apparently I did not have. So I ended up going back to a good running shoe store in St. Louis and got properly fit, and they explained how the foot works and all this. It got me a really nice pair of shoes, and now I'm able to run really comfortably, so I'm very happy. What I found out and what I'd like to explain today is that we all run differently. With a little bit of research, we can run much more comfortably by choosing the correct type of running shoe for us. Today I would like to give you some information explaining how we run, or rather how our foot moves or pronates, and then talk about the 5 different types of running shoes available. I'll explain how the different types of pronation and how it affects us can be used to determine what type of running shoe we need, and choose the correct one to make running comfortably. The first topic I would like to explain is how our feet move when we run, something called pronation, and explain each of the 3 types of pronation. Runner's World magazine explains pronation as the heel making contact with the ground, the foot rolling inward at a 15-degree angle before coming in complete contact with the ground, keeping you firmly balanced, and then allowing you to fully push off with all the foot. This is actually the explanation of neutral pronation, but it has to do with the inward roll of the foot. So the first type is neutral pronation, where there's a 15-degree roll of the foot. The second type is overpronation, where there's a greater than 15% roll of the foot. And what it creates is you land on the inside of your foot, and when you push off, you end up pushing off with the big toe and maybe one toe. It's just not as efficient as neutral pronation. The third type, called underpronation, or actually called supination, the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines supination as a corresponding movement of the leg and foot in which the foot rolls outward with an elevated arch and the foot comes down on its outer edge. So this is just the opposite of overpronation, and that the person has a high arch, so when they land, their foot rolls to the outside. Then you end up pushing off with the small toes and not the center of the foot again. So all types of pronation are actually medically correct. They're all formed by the height of the arch. Flat-footed people roll their foot inward. Moderately arched people land in the center and are able to push off. High arched people roll a little bit to the outdoor. A person can run with no risk of injury no matter what kind of pronation they have. So quickly, to recap on pronation, neutral pronation is when your foot rolls at a 15-degree angle. Overpronation is when your foot rolls at more than a 15% angle, and underpronation, your foot rolls less than a 15% angle or even outward. All are medically correct, but neutral is the most proficient, or efficient rather. Now that I've explained the mechanics of how our feet work, I would like to talk about the different types of running shoes available, including 2 that compensate for overpronation. Now, all the major running shoes have the same types of shoes. The New Balance website lists 5 types of running shoes. The first one is called a neutral cushioning shoe, the second one being a stability shoe, the third one a motion control shoe, which I mentioned in my story, The fourth one is a lightweight shoe, and the fifth one is called a minimal shoe. A neutral cushioning shoe is kind of what it sounds like, a very cushioned shoe. It offers no pronation control, just a nice solid cushioning run shoe. The next kind of shoe is a stability shoe. A stability shoe offers a slight increase in the inside of the shoe to account for overpronation. Again, it's more like a cushioned shoe with just a little bit of an elevated arch on the one side. The third shoe is the motion control shoe, which I talked about in my story. Motion control shoes are for moderate to severe overpronation. So people with really flat feet would use a motion control shoe. And this actually does not allow your foot to turn inward. It keeps you in the center. It provides a lot of stability. But again, it's only for severe overpronation. The fourth kind of shoe rather, is the lightweight shoe. And the lightweight shoe pretty much offers very little cushioning, has no pronation control. It's really for speed and agility. So for the really fast runners, marathoners, typically are going to go for a lightweight shoe. The fifth kind of shoe is kind of a newer kind of shoe. It's called a minimal shoe, and it's for a new type of running, or new in this type of shoe, and it's called barefoot running. These shoes often have sleeved toes. Many of you have seen them. They have very little traction and no cushion whatsoever, so your foot really responds to the road. So those are the 5 types of shoes. Neutral cushioning, which is just a very cushioned shoe. Stability shoes, which are cushioned shoes again, which offer a little bit of overpronation control. The motion control shoes, which are for severe overpronation, they'll keep you from rolling. Lightweight shoes, speed and agility, just very responsive shoes, not a whole lot of cushioning. And the fifth is for the new barefoot runner. Those are the choices. In conclusion, to touch on my story again, I picked up a bargain shoe that had motion control. It did not allow my foot to naturally roll, and it ended up causing me pain. But doing my homework and going back and going to a running shoe store and learning about the shoes, now I can run very comfortably. So anybody that does choose to run, I would encourage to go to a running store, get properly fitted, learn about the different types of pronation, find out which one you are, get fitted for one of the 5 types of shoes, and then you can start your workout and enjoy. Thank you.